Hey everyone, it is Anna Runyon, founder and CEO of Classy Career Girl. I'm super excited to be here today because we have some real life stories of women launching their dream careers and businesses from a variety of different markets, and you can all watch it live. So you're going to hear from my current students, and they're going to share with you how they launched their dream career or business and how you can do it too. So I'm super excited to get started. We have our first interview today. It is Michelle. So welcome, Michelle. I'm super excited to have you here.
Hello, everyone, and hello, Anna. I'm so excited to be here with you and with everyone, just sharing my story. You know, it's something that has brought a lot of life into me in such a dark time, and also just gives me a lot of excitement for the future.
Yay. Yeah, I'm excited to hear your story. So, how would how would you describe yourself at the start of your journey? Like tell us a little bit about, where you were in the beginning.
So when I started, I knew I had this almost like this light bulb over my head that just kind of like lit up, and it was like, Michelle, you got to do this. You got to start this business. So where I was stuck at is, where do I start? How do I do this the right way? I wanted to make sure that I created a good foundation, something that I felt solid about, something that, I felt secure financially, and also for the privacy of my clients, privacy and security of my own company. And that's really where I was like, I don't know where to go. I don't know where to start. What are my resources? There's so much information on the internet. And, I came across Classy Career Girl, and it was like meant to be. And I'm a big believer in it's meant to be sometimes to connect with people in certain ways. And when I watched one of your videos, I was like instantly like, I had to do this. So it was like an immediate sign up. And I'm normally someone who hesitates and does a lot more digging and research, but it just felt meant to be. So it was like that umbrella that opened of having somewhere to go and really dig deep into the foundations of starting a business, it was golden to me. And that's really what helped me get unstuck and move forward and begin the journey.
So you were like looking all over online trying to figure out how you were going to launch your dream. What was kind of the career that you wanted to launch at that time?
So it's always been event planning services. It's always been solid on that. I'm really passionate about events and just the whole experience that I create for my clients. So that's always been certain. It was just a matter of, how do I create it? How do I get started? And also, you do so much research online, but it only takes you so far in let's say one area, and then you have to start all over your research in a different area, and kind of you have nowhere to go to with one specific place. It's kind of like Classy Career Girl. That's how I felt.
Yeah. So what were some of the challenges that you were having trying to start this events business?
Challenges, I think I had such a particular vision, and also with the logo that I had associated. So it had some custom fonts. And since I was doing the web design all myself, I got really deep into it, and it's been a fun and learning curve for me. Technically, I mean, for all web designers out there, kudos to them. They do so much. I'm sure John gets I can't imagine what he does for all of you. But really, like, it helped me just kind of dig deep into it.
Yeah. Can you talk about, you mentioned you were worried about how do I do this the right way? Like, did you have some perfectionism in there that you were worried about?
Yes, I think legally I was more concerned. Just, I know because of my corporate business, just the legal liabilities. And of course, when this pandemic hit, there was so much legal, information that had to do with the business that I had, that I was working for. So all those conversations of clauses and, what I'm liable to, I'm bringing my lawyer, it got intense. And I always wanted to feel secure legally, and I didn't know where to start with that either. So you provided me with all of those resources of, feeling secure in that way, where I could always refer back to it and with confidence, and knowing what I'm talking about and knowing why and all of that.
I can't even imagine the timing of this too, like during a pandemic, starting an events business. Did people think you
It's
were
crazy.
crazy?
Yeah, I think people think I'm actually crazy because our business has changed so much, but I also felt like it was just meant to be and an opportunity to, take it. Right now I have the time and the resources to go all in on it. So, my heart's in it and it feels right.
So how did you find out about Classy Queer Girl?
I think it was Pinterest, if I'm like thinking specifically. I think it was Pinterest. And then from there, I think I got like a pop up of like sign up to learn more. Um, and I signed up for one of those lead magnets, and I watched a live video with you and some of your presentation and also some of your testimonials and all of that. And I was just kind of like sold right away. I literally signed up that same day.
Yay, we're so excited. So what did you think, like when you just first started, you saw the success path, you have this dream, like what were the thoughts running through your head?
When I gained access to the whole portal, it was, I think, like magic for me because I just felt like this is exactly what I needed. I was like, I needed direction, I needed a resource, something that I like to do on my own time because I'm someone that doesn't like to commit to, class timings. I want to be able to do it at certain times. Like occasionally, I'll have certain times of day that I just have this spark and I can go for hours and hours. And then other times I don't. So really, I loved the idea that it was all on my own time and I had access to all of the content so I can move along at my own pace. And it wasn't like I was waiting around for anyone. So really, it was just lovely to see it all organized and in phases where it just goes in depth for each one. And not only that, but I love the tools too. So I love that you also have like a section of tools where you can, have those resources and those reading lists that you have. I've gone through a ton of those. I love to do audiobooks. I walk my dog 3 times a day and I use that time to listen to these audiobooks. So, it's always keeping me busy and I love it.
I love it. So tell us about, what happened after you started going through the success path. Like what's kind of the transformation you've experienced since learning about it?
Since learning about it, taking baby steps, just like you say, it's like step by step leads you to places. And I felt like once I launched my website, I was like, I did it. I did it. I was like, I felt great about it. I was confident talking to people about it and sharing it with my family and friends and also with the clients that I've also worked with. So, I have a lot of previous clients that I reached out to and I felt just so happy about it that it just continued to snowball and in excitement. But then it also led into more learning and more, exposure of like, all right, now how do I expose myself? Who do I connect? And all of that. So I feel like that ongoing process of commitment and learning and just 1% a little better and a little bit better every day goes a long way.
Love it. Because you've been really active, like some of your wins, you've been really active on social media, creating your website, creating a Facebook group. So did you have any doubts along the way doing some of those actions?
Yes, absolutely. When I first launched my Instagram profile, I, started posting, but I felt like it didn't have any sort of direction. And the same with like all the other channels that I was kind of doing. And I was stuck on that. I was like, what do I want to communicate to my audience? How do I relate it all? And, how do I merge all of this content together the way that I want? So I was stuck on that for quite some time. And then eventually it just kind of clicked one day and I had direction. I was like, okay, let me start off by dividing it by the day of the week and let's, talk about Monday to have some consistency. So kind of how I started that was, I gave myself like Monday motivating or meeting Monday, and I do talk about something meeting related. And that's helped me give myself direction and connect my audience to something consistently, and also something that I can revert back to when it comes to lead magnets eventually, when I get to that phase of completing it all, just to create that consistent flow, just as you talk about in your phase 4.
Exactly. Yeah. You just are like, I love how you say baby steps, like just keep moving forward. Do you feel like it's gotten easier since you keep moving forward?
Yes, I think so, because I think it's confidence. It's that confidence of like, I know I'm doing what I love, and I know that I'm doing it I know my whys, and I think that makes a really big difference of how you think of everything. And even when you speak to others and what they're doing in their business, it's like, what are your whys? Sometimes you think about it in a different way, and you build these connections with people, not directly asking them, what are your whys? But, just observing and knowing how they run their business too, I think has helped me connect with a different type of community.
Yeah. And you can tell too by like your posts and everything, like your confidence has grown too, right? So tell us
Yeah.
about that. Like how did you, because a lot of people who are listening are struggling with that, right? Getting the confidence up to launch their business. How did you build that confidence?
Confidence is work. I think it's a work, it's a mental state. I think you work on yourself a little bit too, getting to know you, I think, is the biggest part of it. It's been a long journey for me. I've done a lot of meditating and a lot of yoga. I've done a lot of that. That's helped me find myself. That gave me a lot of confidence in me. So if anyone needs that kind of help, I recommend maybe starting to finding you, to helping you, because then that's also the root of your whys, right? Knowing what makes you happy and why you start your business and why you're doing this. And it's all a journey,
Definitely. So what would be like your final word of wisdom to someone who's just thinking about launching their dream but worried about these challenges, right? The pandemic, things that are happening, like what would you say to them?
Go for it. I think go for it if you feel it in your gut and this is what you want to do. I think it's really important to follow that gut feeling, because ultimately I think it leads to happiness. It might be hard, it might be challenging. I mean, there were days that I couldn't look at the computer and I was like, oh my God, I can't, don't look at the screen anymore. But after bits by bits, I took breaks. You get started and you just want to keep going because you accomplish one thing, and then you're like, let's do the next thing. Let's check the next thing off. So I really think going for it and stepping out of your comfort zone really will lead to a lot of happiness.
Yeah, and it led you out. I know I remember your post and you said you booked your first paid client. Tell us about that feeling.
Ooh, that was such a great feeling. It was the start of this new year. And, I had been helping a friend previously, and during the pandemic. I helped her do a small wedding in Colorado in the middle of the pandemic. And through her, I met her at a reception. I was helping her out. And she's like, I think I might be getting married soon. Da, da, da. So we kind of chatted a little bit like this. And I was like, I'm actually in the works of launching my business. So why don't we stay connected? We stayed connected. And then, January came about, she got engaged during the holidays. She reached back out. And, her also seeing my services provided, she kept following me and seeing, my story and how I was starting my business, I think also gave her confidence in me. That led to her feeling confident about moving forward with me as a wedding planner. So that was a really big one. I was really excited about that. Celebrated.
So exciting. That's the best. So tell us
Mm-hmm.
where people can find you online, Michelle.
So online, you can find me at eventslife.com. And that's life with a Y instead of an I. So events with an S, life with a Y.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing your story. I
Thank
think
you
it's going to
so
be
much. I'm so
inspiring to
grateful.
people. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to bring on our next interview here because we're just going to keep right on going. We have a lot of people here to interview, and our next guest I'm super excited to welcome is Diane. Hi, Diane. Oh, I can't hear you. Yeah, it's not working right now. That's okay. I'm going to introduce Diane here. Oh, yeah, now I can.
Okay, it might have been my headphones, so I apologize if there's background noise.
No, that's fine. We can deal with that. So, welcome. Super excited to
Hi.
talk with you. Tell us a little bit about, who you are and where you were at the start of this journey.
Okay, my name is Diane. I am currently now in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I mention that physically because I have actually moved several times over the last several months to try to make things work. So that is something that is part of my journey. This has been what was going to be the end goal since last spring, and I just got here on February 7th. This is still new for me. So that's very exciting. And it was funny, I was just listening to your whole conversation with Michelle prior to coming on with you. And it's so funny. It's just the opposite of where I came from in a lot of ways. Exactly a year ago right now, you could have never told me that this was going to be what was happening. I think I'm very much in the countdown phase of how the world has changed. Right now we all have that day of like March 12th or 13th here, but right now, exactly this time last year was when Italy shut down, and I had a lot of family there. I was in the UK at the time. We had just had a family wedding. I had, immediately on the day I came home from the UK, we had a major unexpected loss in my family. I was working on an off-Broadway show at the time that we came down to, my, coming home after the highest high, low, and then my whole industry collapsing. Which my job not only was producing the shows themselves, but a lot of the events involved the Tony parties, the opening nights. So event planning was always a big part of what I did. So I felt like I saw the writing on the wall before a lot of my colleagues of, okay, I need to reposition myself. What am I going to do now? And I really did a lot of soul searching of what are the parts of my job that I really loved the most, and setting up systems and setting up success, people for success, and literally organizing things, figuratively organizing things, digitally organizing things was something that I really enjoyed doing, and learned over the years that didn't come naturally to everybody, but it did to me. So that was something that felt better in getting started. And the other part of my job was I always was kind of the de facto counselor of sorts, coach of people. Sometimes I'd joke, I'd literally put up the Lucy sign from Charlie Brown with the 5-cent psychiatrist is in, because sometimes my office at the theater became that. But I really also enjoyed that part. So it was like, how can I organize things and coach people and help them get stuck beyond their obstacles? And that's when I decided to go into professional organization. So yeah, that's what I'm focusing on now.
Yeah, I remember hearing your story, like when one of the first calls you jumped on and shared. So what, like in the beginning, then what were some of those problems and challenges that you were facing with getting this off the ground?
Just being, I feel like, ironically, what I'm trying to help people with, but being stuck in the overwhelm, of, okay, I know all of the things that I want to accomplish, but how do I break that down into manageable steps to make it work? And that is really what brought me to class and gave me the kind of structure where, anybody who's done this program knows, who's heard you of, okay, but did you do 0 to 2? I don't care what you want to do ahead of time. And it's, once you're going through it, it makes sense. just finished 2 last month, I think, which took me a couple of months, and the CRK phase 2, and now I'm technically in the hustler period, but I always wanted to be in the hustler period from like day one. That's what I wanted, but without the structure, it doesn't make as much sense to go through those steps, or you're skipping ahead and missing some of the fundamental pieces.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why it's there. It's a step by step. So yeah, that she's talking about the success path. So we have phases that you go through when you're launching your dream career or business. So did you have any like doubts when you dove in and started going through it?
I still have doubts today, but I mean, I just don't get consumed by them. Overall, I feel great about what I'm doing and the choices I'm making. I feel like a lot of the obstacles I hit are literally just how things have been changing with the shutdown and the directions that I've been changing. I have, as far as organizing goes, I've only literally been inside 2 homes to do it so far, which is what I really thought I was going to be doing and getting started with. And so what I've really been doing is listening to people that I've been, whether it was promoting myself to a lot of other people in some of the class community itself, or some of the other groups I've joined that other people in class have gone through, and I've become parts of their groups where people are like, oh, but we'd love a group and we'd love this. And so having an online component that I never envisioned is something that I'm actually finding gratifying. I'm still trying to figure out how to successfully integrate that, but now it's something that I'm really excited about.
I love that. So you're kind of pivoting because you need to, right? Like you can't get into houses necessarily to organize with them, but you're adding an online component to make it work for your industry. I love that. I love that because it's always about pivoting to make it and change too.
Right.
So what do you think would have happened, if you didn't have a plan to follow? Where do you think you'd be?
I have no idea. I mean, it's there are just so many variables that I feel like are constantly coming at you, that just knowing what the end goal is. I've always been someone who has lists, the to-do lists and whatnot, but really projecting out, the 30 days and the 90 days and what is it that I want to achieve. And it's something that I've really gotten through the program, whether it's intentional or not, is to allow myself to give myself the grace to allow myself to pivot to, okay, this was the exact idea that I wanted to accomplish 30 days from now, but now we're literally told that we can't go outside again for 10 days. So what can I do now? Because life is always going to happen, whether, even post-pandemic, there's still going to be obstacles that, are going to come your way, and how are you going to deal with that?
Exactly. Yeah. And I love looking back a year, like you never could have told what was going to happen either. So things can change and will need to change too. So you have since, like, tell us some of the results that have happened for you since you decided to launch this new business.
It's really just going full in. There are, in addition to class, something that was very important to me personally, which is not, a necessity, is I also decided to join NAPA, which is the National Association of Productivity and Organization. And I am hoping by the end of March I'm provisional status right now to reach professional status, which, is not, there are plenty, you have Marie Kondo and the Home Edit, and they're not NAPA. You can be super successful without it. But to me, just having that little sense, I think of I don't know if it's a sense of pedigree. It wasn't that, but it's another community. I love class, the support of class for the entrepreneurship, and seeing all the different industries are out there and the way you can help each other. It's such a supportive community. But NAPA itself is such a supportive community as well. And I've joined the local Philadelphia chapter. So to just have those kinds of resources and create community, because, you know, as we build each other up, it only makes us as individuals stronger too.
Yeah, because the big thing about you too, Diane, is you completely changed industries too. I remember from the very beginning, you're like, how do I do this in a completely different industry? And getting involved in an organization, that's genius, right? Because then you can start making those connections and start learning about that industry and start building up your bio too. So that's, if anyone's listening and wants to change industries, it can be done. Diane is here. She's telling you she did it. She's doing it. So tell us about, like, I know you did your vision board. Tell us about the vision board, and then tell us about that booking that day rate thing that you shared with us.
The vision board was actually something that I actually feel so excited about now, and I have it like really in a prominent place that I look at every day now. It's you know, I did a kind of half-hearted vision board at the point in class when we're supposed to, and I before in my life put up images that inspired me, but never with a cohesive theme. And I feel like this is the first time that I really did that, and it absolutely helped with my clarity and where I want to go. You know, again, both short-term and long-term goals of what's included in that, and that helps really hone it in for me every day. I think the other, I don't recall the day rate. There was a challenge that I just completed, which was a lot of fun. I just did my first online, I did a 10-day organizing challenge that I did through a private Facebook community. And that was something that really was I think that was the step so far that I let go of perfect. You know, that's something that I've really, I guess, with the grace thing, one of the podcasts I've listened to, and I feel like, you know, perfect is the enemy of done is something I hear again and again, but someone just said it so simply as done is better than perfect. And that is something I probably say to myself at least several times a week now, maybe not daily, maybe sometimes a few times a day. And letting go, you know, I had the whole challenge planned out as far as what each day was going to entail. But, you know, again, once you have other people involved, sometimes things come back at you that make you pivot. And I did that, and it was great because, again, it felt like a sense of community.
I love that. Yeah, those are fun too. And then it starts the ball rolling of just getting yourself out there too.
Yeah.
So it was, I had read something that you booked a virtual event producing work that you were hoping at a higher day rate than you were expecting.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes.
We forget about all of our accomplishments. I dig everything out. I will find everything. Well, that's why you are here.
In the middle of right now, because I have a couple of days, and I've been picking up more of that. I had a couple of days last week. I've got some this week. I have all of next week books for that. So, you know, event producing is my background. So I know how to do it in person. Learning how to do that in online is different. And, you know, I started some at a good rate. You know, I was doing them earlier, and a lot of them are really low. You know, they're booking these hourlies, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. And then the first couple I booked were at $300 a day. I'm like, okay, all right, I can do this to help supplement. And now I've started getting them like between $700 and $1,000 a day. So that is what's giving me the security to both move and really push into the professional organizing, because that's now giving me the financial backing where I've you know, to hone in on, like, I hired it's not live yet, but soon. I gave up because I couldn't let go of perfect when designing my own website. So I had to hand it over to somebody else. I was going too far down the rabbit hole of like, I can't stay up all night working on making that one square perfect, you know? So I handed that part over, but now it's allowing me to do some of those things to feel better about my professional image in the world.
I love that. what a year. Like, I love it. I love it. I love the success and seeing the journey too, because it doesn't happen overnight, but it's just you've kept making steps forward.
And I feel like
Um,
there's a lot of natural integration with it as well.
That's so good. So where can people find you online, Diane?
Well, right now the best places are both Instagram and Facebook is Common Orderly. My company is called Common Orderly. You can reach me at info@becommonorderly.com. Becommonorderly.com will be coming soon, but as soon as that is finished live, I will be posting that on both Instagram and Facebook so everybody can see when it is there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Diane,
Thank
for
you.
joining us here and for being here. What would be your final word of wisdom for someone who's just getting started with their dream?
Trust your gut. Just
Good one.
really go for it and trust your gut.
Love that. Awesome. Thank you so much, Diane.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Okay, let's bring in our next guest, LaDonna. There you are. Hello.
Hi. Hello. Good
Hi.
evening. Can you hear me okay?
I think it's fine. Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
It should be okay.
Great.
Yeah, it's great. Hello. So tell me, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you and where you were like in the start of your journey.
Yes. So hello everyone. My name is LaDonna Bacon. I have a business that's called Designs by LaDonna. I am located in Charlotte, North Carolina, and my business is online retail store where I have inspirational T-shirts, planners, and journals. And in addition to that, I took my business a step further and incorporated a wholesale side of the business to where I now help other female entrepreneurs do the same exact thing that I'm doing in my business, which is provide inspirational t-shirts, planners, and journals. So right now I'm in the scaling phase of my business to where I'm growing and I'm at
Oh, I think we lost you for a second there. Oh, it just froze. Okay, we're going to keep. There you are.
okay. Okay, great. I had a call come in, but I've been doing a lot of manual labor behind the scenes, and now I'm finally incorporating some of that passive income that I'm looking forward to getting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I am.
Awesome. And I love, like, I've been following you on Instagram too, and you share a lot about your journey and like where you were. I love how you post pictures of like where you were, so it's kind of like the before and after. But tell us about, because you were in a job, and how did that happen? Where you are here where you are today. But tell us a little bit more about where you were.
Yes, so I was a buyer at corporate retail, and I've been in corporate retail for a little over 15 years. And during that journey, I learned a lot about business. And being a buyer, you're basically running a business, but you're running it with somebody else's money, like millions of dollars, building assortments, building products, and then pushing it out to stores, and then having the ability to walk into those stores and see your product and say like, oh my God, people all over, the United States is wearing what I picked out, what I, help other vendors produce. And then to see like some of your customers, everyday customers that are just walking through the mall, like have one product that you created. And so that's where my passion came from, working in corporate retail. And so, of course, retail brick and mortar stores have been down for several years. And as we have been, the company that I was working for continued to decline. And it was just a time that I needed to step out. And here I am, 100% entrepreneur, stay at home mom and wife, virtual learning, part time teacher, like all of the above.
I think we can all relate to that. So, talking about challenges, tell us some of the challenges you were having when you wanted to make this, happen, and you were trying to make it happen?
Well, the biggest challenge that I have had is one, because my business kind of took off fast. And when I say took off fast, I'm not meaning that I'm a six-figure income earner, right? But it took off faster than I had projected. So to me, it was successful. And in doing it, some of the challenges I faced was having the right amount of product on hand when your customers purchase. Another challenge was building up my customer service, because that's one thing that I didn't learn in corporate America, because I did not work with the public. And so I had to think about, how I'm servicing my customers when things aren't right. If I get an order wrong, or if a product isn't of their standard, like how do I, make them feel satisfied so that they can come back and purchase from me. And then one thing, and I'm just being transparent, that I'm still struggling with is the back end, the administrative work. I just, I can't, that's my biggest struggle even right now today.
Yeah. Hey, it doesn't go away. I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's one thing we just need to always be focusing on, like what we can do to continue the revenue producing activities, right? And kind of start to delegate or start to
Right.
create those systems. So I'm with, yeah. So where did
Yeah.
you first learn about like our Success Path or Classy Career Girl? How did you first find us?
Ironically, when I was working in corporate America, I ran across you somehow. And I didn't know that until I think maybe just scrolling, an ad had came up on Facebook, and then I joined a free webinar. And when I went back to access the replay of the webinar, I actually like put in my email, Anna, your name, and it came up to like 2015, 2016 emails. And I'm like, whoa, I've been following her like this long. And so when I connected the dots, and I think then I had downloaded the 90-day planner. So it was your old version. And I went through my paperwork, and I actually had it. I had it printed out, and I had used it in the
Wow.
beginning. Yes. So and then here we were in 2020. I actually signed up for the class membership, and I'm really, really glad that I did. Even though my business had already started. And one of the things that you even say is like start from the beginning. And that's what I didn't do when I developed my business, and was really the reason that I wanted to join class, was because I have been running my business a year and a half with very little coaching and very little mentorship. I was just going off of what I knew and just watching other people. And so I said, you know what, this is a year. And I think when I committed, um, quarantine hadn't happened yet. So and so I'm thankful that I did have more downtime to be able to focus on the lessons, the different modules, to go through all of that and be committed. So I'm really happy that I joined, because like I said, once I did, I was able to start from the very beginning, get that groundwork, get that done, and be able to move forward.
Yeah, that's what so many people skip. They skip the beginning. So I'm so glad, even though you had a business, you went back to that foundation. You did phase 0, phase 1, phase 2, worked all your way all the way up to phase 5, but you went through it and you did
Right.
it the right way. So tell us about like some of the results that you've experienced, because I know in the fall. Oh, did you hear me?
You froze for a little while. No, I didn't. No. Tell
Oh,
us
okay.
some of the results.
Yeah, tell us some about the results, because I remember you posting wins. You were very active sharing. Like I don't want to give it away. You tell us.
So one of the things that I'm like super excited about that I launched while I was a member of class was I wanted to do a subscription membership, right? But it didn't work. But I had the vision and I really didn't want to give up on it, so I had to pivot. And I actually created my first ever sales page. And I did that with the help of you and the other members in the group, even through the ex Anna. Like it was really, really helpful to get, ideas and to get opinions from other people. And that's one thing that I really, really loved about the community is that it's really a community. Everyone is engaging. The feedback is great. So that was one of the things that I did. I launched the sales page, launched a new segment to my business, and I surpassed my initial goal. I actually wanted to sell 25 sets and I sold 30 sets. And I said, you know what? Maybe it was just my good marketing, or maybe it was the fact that I had a sales page. So I've never had a sales page before. So I really think it was the sales page that allowed me to surpass my initial goals. So that's one of the things that I've done. Another thing that I'm super proud of about was the fact that I got a lot of behind the scenes work done. And that was, like I said, why I joined. I gained clarity in my business statement, with my brand just in general, and just doing that work, doing going back to the very beginning from phase zero, phase one, it allowed me to speak to my customer more clearly, just less is more is what I talk about often now, and just honing in on some specifics and getting to my target customer. Whereas before I was kind of all over the place, like whatever thought came up, I would just like post it and go after it. But that's one of the major things that I'm proud of, even though it's not like a product or directly correlated with sales, more indirectly. I'm super excited that I was able to get that done.
Yeah, I love it. So tell us more where everyone can find you online.
So everyone can find me on Instagram at Designs by LaDonna, or either Facebook Designs by LaDonna, the number one. Someone has taken that, another lesson learned. But yes, Designs by LaDonna on IG and also on my Facebook business page.
Awesome. So tell us
one other thing before
Yeah.
we go. Oh, well, I may be answering this question. I'm not sure, but right now where I am, I'm actually in funnel building mode. And so I have this is my classic career notebook, and I'm just going through like all the steps to create the funnel, going back through how to create that sales page. So I've never done that before. But like I said, I'm on a journey right now to create passive income. And I'm going through setting up that funnel, setting up the emails. I think I had the examples that you had provided. So I'm really excited about that. Even though it's a little intimidating, it can be, but it's something that I'm looking forward to, because I know in the end the results are going to be just as good as when I launched the royalty plan set.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, LaDonna. That's great. So I look forward to seeing what happens with your business and your funnel. You got to keep us updated. Let us know when you get the funnel up.
Yes, I definitely will. But thank you so much for having me as well.
Thank you, LaDonna. It was good to talk to you. Okay, let's bring on our final guest of the day. Bye, LaDonna. She has been patiently waiting here. I think you were the first one here and you've been listening to all of us, but please welcome Chrissy.
Hi. Of course I came on early. I had to listen to these other fabulous women. I couldn't miss it.
I know. I love it. I love it. So now you know exactly what I'm going to ask you. So just go ahead. No, I'm just kidding. So tell us about you tell us, your where you were in the beginning of this, kind of your background and everything.
Yeah, so I think you I don't know if you did this intentionally, but I feel like the four of us tonight are very similar stories. At the beginning of 2020, was a revenue manager for Marriott. So when hospitality was destroyed last year, I got furloughed with the entire rest of corporate. And after the first month of not doing a single thing and just like relaxing like it was summer break all over again, I did a lot of searching of who I wanted to be, because I hadn't been in love with my job before, but there was nothing wrong with it. And I came across you. I can't even tell you how other than Facebook. So power to John.
I show up there.
Right? Power to John and his Facebook ads. But over the course of the pretty much Q2, Q3 of 2020, I realized that I never wanted to go back to corporate. I definitely am an entrepreneur at heart and really just needed to get into serving others more. So I realized that the best way for me to do that would be to become a life coach for women who, it started out as women who wanted to kind of do the same thing of get out of corporate, and has evolved into really any female who just is unhappy or dissatisfied with life and getting out of the rat race that is life, not necessarily just corporate. And I found you, and I, again, took one of your like 45, 60-minute webinars of what class is about, signed up right at the end of that. I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. This is perfect. And just found so much value in your coursework and the community that I'm sticking around.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah. I mean, we're going to get into all of your results here soon, but tell us, in the beginning, obviously, yeah, you're right. Everyone was like events. We were talking with a lot of people in the events industry, things changed. So you had a major problem, right? Like when the pandemic happened. Tell us about kind of the challenges right then.
The biggest challenge, I think, was personal, in that my whole life had been very analytical, very strategic. And then to open up and be like, oh, I want to go coach women, like total disconnect between what I had been doing and what I wanted to do. So there is a lot of imposter syndrome there, combined with the fact that I had never been I never had a big personal presence on social media. So the idea of building an online business totally was not in my wheelhouse at all. So there was the technical side of, okay, how am I supposed to do this? Combined with I don't know if I can do this. So it was a lot all the way around. But like I said, I really did not ever want to go back to corporate. I just am not meant to work for other people, as my grandmother says. So
your grandmother.
Yes. So yeah, it kind of worked out that I found you and went from there.
Awesome. So yeah, so it sounds like a lot of mindset. For you, it was just a lot of mindset of like, this is a very different path. Like, can I really do this?
Absolutely. And I think one of the biggest things that I've gotten out of the community is that every single one of us has that same imposter syndrome, whether it's about, being a wife or a mother or a business owner, whatever it is. Perfect doesn't exist, right? So it's just building those small wins and building up that confidence muscle. So it's been a ton of inner work. I think it was Michelle who mentioned yoga and meditation and things like that. I tried those things and I cannot sit still to save my life. Like, I'm fidgeting. I'm trying really hard not to, but I'm fidgeting. So it was just a lot of like walking my dogs or being out in nature and taking time to disconnect and figure out really what made me happy and fulfilled. And working through that piece of it got me to a place where I realized that, yeah, no, I can do this. I really want to do this.
Yeah, I remember you said one of the biggest thoughts was like, what if I fail? Like worrying about what if I fail? So long walks with dogs helps.
Yeah.
Good.
Absolutely. And that's something that I think it still rears its head every once in a while. If I don't get enough posts or enough comments on a post, I'm like, oh, I'm not doing this right. But it's just that constant reminder that what I have to say matters. And that, again, my purpose is to serve other women. So it's really about helping them. So as long as it helps one woman, then that's what matters, right? That's what counts.
Yeah, I say that all the time too, because you can get so much in your head. But if we just focus on helping one person every day. So when did you make the commitment from corporate to going all in on this life coaching? Like, tell us about when you finally made that decision and that commitment.
So, I guess August. I was furloughed at the very beginning of April. Like I said, I spent about a month doing nothing. Like, told my husband, I was like, please don't bother me. I'm literally not going to do anything productive for a month. Working through what it meant to be furloughed, all of that kind of thing. And then I saw your ad and watched the program in July, and I thought, okay, this is whatever I decide to do, this is going to help me. And then through phase 0 and kind of doing some of the quizzes or the information journaling, I went all in August, and I signed up for a 22-week coach certification program. That was a big investment, both time-wise and financially. So August 17th is actually the day that I filed my LLC. So nice. I went all in August 17th.
That's the day. Okay. Yeah. I went all in August of a certain year too. So there's something about August. I don't know what it is.
It's a good month.
Yeah. So what excited you about it? Was it exciting? Was it scary?
All of the above. It was a little bit scary because, I brought in 50% of my family's income, and to not have that was very scary. But at the same time, I hadn't been fulfilled for the last couple of years with my job. Like I said, I was good at it. There was nothing wrong with it, but it didn't light me up. So at the end of the day, I was just more excited and more ready to change and to take that step to really say, I am making this commitment to myself, which in turns makes the commitment to my family.
Love that. And you're showing now the women that you're going to help what it's like to step out and make that change too, which I love. I love that. So what was the first, so August, you said you made a commitment to this coaching program. What were some of the first steps that you did in the beginning?
The big thing for me was registering as an LLC. I used to live in Tennessee, and their laws are very different. So I actually ran a small bakery out of my house a couple of years ago, but I never treated it as anything other than a hobby because I just didn't put the time into it. So registering my company as an LLC, and more importantly, my company name is my name. So it's Chrissy Mellinger LLC. Was a really big thing for me because it was owning who I am and what I'm providing to the world. So that was one. And then you mentioned it before, a lot of mindset work, really prioritizing how I thought about things and not hustling so much because, as you know, that's phase 3. So we have to kind of build the foundation before we get to the hustle part. So it was really making sure that I stayed in the present moment, really digging into things that I needed to personally, and going through all of, phase 0, 1, 2, and 3. I spent months on those of building the foundations. I learned how to make a website, which was terrifying and scary, but it's now one of my proudest accomplishments that I really love my website. So yeah, all of that.
Love that. Yeah, it's all about taking those steps too. So where do you think you'd be if you hadn't followed the plan?
Oh goodness. So overwhelmed. I probably wouldn't have signed up for the certification program. At least not in August, to start in August. So I probably wouldn't even be certified. I don't think I would have the confidence. I had to do 20 different sample sessions, mini coaching sessions for my certification. more than half of them came from other women in class. So I definitely wouldn't have gotten those done. But I just don't think I'd be as confident or as ready to go out and do things like this, where I'm on camera in front of strangers.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we kept hearing feedback about you. You know this, right? Like people were like, "Oh, I just had a session with Chrissy. I just had a session with Chrissy." So that's where it started, and you put yourself out there to start doing those practice sessions. So tell us about that. Like, what was that like? Getting these first, were they unpaid in the beginning?
Yeah, so Diane, actually, who spoke earlier tonight, was my very, very first session.
I love it.
And I was terrified. Before the call, I was like running around my house like a crazy person thinking, oh my gosh, what am I doing? What did this poor woman sign up for? But, you know, I hope Diane will attest to this. We had a really good conversation. And it just felt more and more exciting with each person that I talked to and that I helped. Not only was I helping myself because I was learning and growing and refining my skills, but I could see the impact that it made for them. And whether it was, you know, smaller decisions that they made, or if we had multiple follow-up conversations, it was just really magical to see that transformation happen.
Yeah, and it helps you build that confidence too, to then you signed several you got paid clients then, right?
I did, yes. And everyone is kind of a really positive freak out, like turn on the music, start dancing around the house, try and get my dogs to like not jump on me while I dance around the house, and just celebrate the heck out of it.
Yeah, dance parties. We have those in our house too. It's the fun part of all this. So tell us about, then you said you grew your network. Tell us about that a little bit more too.
Yeah, so one of my favorite parts about being an entrepreneur is that, one, you can't do it without a network. Like, you can try your best, but you're going to go crazy. So I've met so many amazing women who are either growing their own business or are just trying to do the personal inner work, that I have grown so much just in connecting with them over the past couple of months and learning from them. Or I haven't yet to be on a book club call, but I have read some of the books.
Good.
So just kind of following up with that as well, and expanding my skill set and meeting these really fabulous women with these stories that are all over the place has just been amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this must be Diane. She said, I had no idea that was your first session. You were so poised and professional.
Oh, I'm so glad.
I love it. I love it. So see, I think that's where we can get in our heads, right? Where we're just like, we think they're going to know that we're not the expert. And clearly you knew what you need, what to do. And I think you probably relied on all your years of being in corporate too, right? Mm-hmm. And just your personal development and your growth too. So you may not think you're the expert, but you actually helped someone and served her and all the other people that you did. You just had to get out there. I love it. Tell us about how you also mentioned you started sharing your truth. Like, tell us how this has allowed you to start sharing your truth.
Yeah. So I am a totally different person than I was probably 3.5 years ago, in a really good way. I was very much, how do I say this politely? A very direct woman. In my corporate life, I was ambitious to a fault. And now I've been able to kind of open up and be more vulnerable, show more of my softer side, quote unquote, and just share what I believe without feeling like I have to put on this facade of being this goal getter, being this pusher, this ambitious driver. I can still be all of those things, but I can do it in a more authentic way. And I think that that's one of the things that I bring to the table with my clients is I kind of have the best of both worlds. Like I've been there, I've done the corporate side of things. I've decided that that's not who I want to be. And now it's just about sharing my story to show other people that it's possible and that they don't have to keep, playing the facade or playing the person. And it's been crazy in a really good way. Like some of it is scary depending on what I'm talking about. But it's also been really amazing on a personal level. It's opened me up to different friends or family members who kind of thought I was this closed off, like very hard-edged person. And now, like, we talk about crystals and moon rituals and all this kind of out there stuff that is just really beautiful.
I love that. So you're becoming more of who you are meant to be along this journey. So it's like a career journey, but then also it's just your life too. It's who you are. You become more of who you are, which I love how you relate that.
Yeah.
So tell us where people can find you online, Chrissy.
Yes. So my website is chrissymellinger.com. And then on Instagram and Facebook, it's at Life Coach Chrissy M.
Okay, awesome. So final word of advice to close us off today. So this is a big one. What would be your final piece of advice for someone who's, feeling stuck and wanting to do something different with their career? What would you tell them now, looking back as a life coach you are?
I would say stop striving for perfection because it doesn't exist. Whether it's the perfect moment to try something or the right amount of followers or the right financial status, it's never going to exist, because once you get there, you're going to think, instead of here, you're going to think it's here, and you're going to keep driving that away. So just stop waiting for perfection.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chrissy, for joining us. This was so fun to get to talk to you and to hear your story.
Yes, thank you so much. This was great.
Thank you. Awesome. Well, that was it for today. Those were our 4 members who shared their story. The commonalities of those stories, one, all of them changed industries. Were not an expert in the career that they were going to, in the business that they were starting. They started from scratch. They learned about the industry. They made a plan. They followed our success path, and they're taking baby steps and imperfect action, all during a pandemic. All 4 of them today have launched their dream careers and businesses during a pandemic. So if you are interested in getting involved in our class, Love Your Work and Life system, you can also head on over to www.classycareergirl.com/join, where you can join our waitlist for your next opportunity to get inside our system, to follow the success path that all of these ladies have used today, so that you can create an incredibly fulfilling career that has you excited for Monday morning, just like our 4 members that we interviewed today. So it's possible. You can launch your dream career business. We'd love to show you how, and we will see you next time. So thanks everyone for joining and for commenting. This was a lot of fun. Bye everyone.